Welcome to Don't Encourage Us, the show where we talk about the big ideas behind fiction projects of all different kinds. Books, movies, TV shows, video games, nothing's off limits. This week we have a special episode. It's a clip show. But this menagerie of clips is done in the style of Rick and Morty, so it's entirely made up of clips you never saw. First up, clips from an old episode before my co-host joined the show, followed by clips of he and I discussing what we want the new show to be about, and lastly, clips from an episode where we discussed reality TV and then tossed the episode. Hope you enjoy it. And the audio quality sucks. I have two guests today, James and Eric, brothers. James is a good friend of mine and a mutual lover of wonderful fiction ideas. And his brother, Eric, is an X Factor. I don't know anything about him. So, welcome to the show, guys. Good. Well, Eric, I understand you have a little podcasting experience as well. Is that true?
Yeah, about my extent and knowledge of really what's going on is like recently I was in the basement and I was like, I wanted to watch a bunch of Nigerian like movies on YouTube. And so I watched those.
As one often does.
And then I went on Pornhub and I went on the comment section. And I was trying to make friends on the comment section. So I was like scrolling through the comments and I would see these people commenting and they'd be like some ridiculous shit. And I'd be like, you know what? You could probably use a friend because like this is where you're hanging out and spending your life. So that's what I've been doing.
That's very similar to podcasting. Virtually identical, actually. It's like the more modern version. We're here today to talk about Nigerian movies and Pornhub, but we'll get back to that in a minute. In the meantime, let's talk about The Happening, the 2008 movie by M. Night Shyamalan. Brief plot summary. Eric, go.
Let's see. There is a science teacher, and he's got a girlfriend, but she has tiramisu. And unfortunately, people die. So they find Hot Dog Man, who mentions hot dogs. There's a chase scene with the wind, and then they find the woman in the cottage, who is like, "You're gonna kill me in the night and steal my things." And Mark Wahlberg says, "No, honestly, I would never do that." The movie, it just sort of resolves. There's no ending. There's no denouement. Everyone just kind of goes back to what they were doing before the movie, and that's how it ends, which is why people gave such rave reviews to the movie.
So anything else? What else stood out to you? Eric, anything? James, what do you got?
I'm going to say the powerhouse that is Marky Mark, complete with 3 nipples, public record of his cocaine addiction at age 13, and battery and assault of a Vietnamese man for a case of beer at age 16. He had some acting chops at that point. Yeah. Oh, I was Marky Mark fanboy back in the day, right about the time of this release. But then Zooey Deschanel, who's like 10 years his junior, a rising star in her right also, team up and they just commit to shit the bed together. It's some of the worst inept acting you see play out, and that's what makes it the feel-good comedy of the year. I don't know what you mean by that. I thought it was a really bold choice by director M. Night to bring in the girl Jess, John Lasagna's daughter, and make it into a throuple. I think that was really avant-garde for 2008 to add a third to the Marky Mark Zooey Deschanel pairing, especially an underage minor, that adds this kind of air of naughtiness, and they went there, and so that the sexual tension it built stays with you throughout the movie.
What the hell?
If you guys were going to do a remake of this film, or a sequel, or a sidequel, or whatever, if you were going to continue to develop this universe, how would you approach that? What would you change? What would you do different?
Probably, I would have to say spontaneous penetration every 90 seconds to keep it watchable.
Yeah, we're going for the X rating.
Triple X. Can you guys name another movie from 2008? There was a lot of other stuff going on. This was the only thing that convinced us to collectively not commit suicide.
So you're saying it was a rough year, and this movie might have a special place in our hearts because it was part of the life support system.
Yeah. You know, art reflects reality. And in 2008, people were kind of having a rough go of it. And I think that spills over into every aspect of our lives, whether it's creativity or, you know, expressed through filmmaking or novels or, you know, shitty boxed wine. Like, the best analogy that I can think of is when you're walking down the street and there's the thickest being you've ever seen wearing high heels, and you're like, I'm not looking. And then you look for like 1 second and her butt's popping out. And that's really what you remember, is the tease. This movie teases you with what it could have been, like you were saying.
I think that's probably the best place to end on this film. It teases you with what could have been.
All right, that's that. So,
nailed it.
What's going on?
Not much. Ready to field test the podcast. Do you have any thoughts? Anything that you wanted to address? I'm recording, by the way, just so that I have some audio and video to play with afterwards.
Yeah, sure.
We can play it back, and I'll share it on the cloud, just like last time, and then you can listen and cringe at the sound of your voice.
Okay, sounds good. I was thinking about it. I was like, what's the fastest way for us to get something going, right? There's current events, talking about current events. Mm-hmm. There's doing your idea.
On which we are experts. Sorry, continue.
We are. A political analysis of what's going on right now, of course.
With a really broad historical context.
Bitcoin. Yeah. We can talk about Bitcoin.
We could just throw
NFTs,
keywords. Yeah,
the metaverse.
Yep. You could just do that all day long.
It'd probably be the shortest conversation ever. Yeah, I've heard of it. Yeah, me too. Okay, next topic.
What is it? Not sure.
But I'm going to Google it.
Yeah.
Wait until the next podcast where we cover the metaverse once we've Googled it. What else? Or maybe we should talk more about these types of topics versus these. These are kind of boring. We could kind of get muddled. The conversation slows down because it becomes too technical, or we get too caught up in minutia. But when we talk about, I don't know, the 10 best Keanu Reeves movies, people love that, you know?
Yeah. Maybe that's the whole podcast. We
the
just
10
talk
best
about Keanu Reeves music and movies.
And movies.
The whole time.
That's funny. We could do like a podcast on like actors turned singers. Like Bruce Willis.
That sounds horrible.
That would be really funny.
Every week we can be like, well, it was terrible.
Yeah. It would be torturous.
My ears are still bleeding. Got another migraine. Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Funny.
And then we could do, when we run out of that, we could do singers and movies. We'll talk about Free Jack this week.
Or that saxophone guy in Lost Boys.
Ooh, I don't know that one. There.
Yeah. It froze. It's freezing on my end. Is it freezing for you?
Yeah, but it's a little bit better when you're choppy.
Okay.
Cuts down on the intensity.
You haven't seen that one? It's hilarious. Look up that clip. Lost Boys sax player.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds like a good use of time.
It's really ridiculous. It might be a good topic for the next podcast.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that gives me two ideas. Number one, we could do a podcast where we rip apart Joe Rogan. Like every episode, we could just talk about what's wrong with it.
That would probably be really, really popular, wouldn't it? That's really funny.
The only downside I see is we'd have to listen to Joe Rogan.
The prep time for that would be like, what, 4.5 hours or something of like
totally.
Half a day listening to the podcast and taking copious notes and then fact checking it all.
I mean, we could split it up, but it would probably amount to, so he rambled for about 25 minutes in this segment. Obviously, it was all garbage. Then at this point, he talked about this issue, and here's what's wrong with that. And then that's the half I did. Steve, you're up.
I did the second half. Thanks, Jason. This is where he covered this pseudoscience thing, this expert that's not an expert, this question, the lost city of Atlantis, the proof behind it, which there is no proof of that I could find. Turns out the archaeologist is a chiropractor. Back to you.
Does it make sense?
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Maybe we should call it the Zoom 40 podcast.
Because of how quickly age 40 came upon us? Is
Not
that
that.
what you're...
No, definitely not that. We'll never talk about age during the podcast. That's off limits. The Zoom 40-minute underlined.
Well, then they're all going to judge us based on millennial standards, and we're going to seem like horrible people. They need to know that we're elderly.
That's true.
We get that greatest generation protection.
Yeah. What is that movie, The Eternals? We'll just call it The Ancients.
Yeah. Respect your elders. That's what we'll call it.
In the beginning, we just have it like, how do you work this thing? Is my mic on? And like, we're all zoomed in on our faces.
I don't think
like,
this
hello?
is working.
Am I talking into the mic? Hello. And that's how it starts every podcast. Perfect. Is my mic on? Can you see me? Is the camera on? How do I plug into the internet?
It just starts mid-sentence.
Are we using the internet right now?
I don't know. I'm clicking it. Click.
Wait, where's that window?
You can mail your correspondence to P.O. Box.
P.O. Box. Shipping and
hello,
handling not included. Hello?
Klondike 577.
Hello? Let me call you on my landline.
Operator?
Hold on, my Walkman is
I can't
jamming.
get the operator.
I got to get the tape out of my Walkman.
Where's the tape? How do you rewind it? I'll get a pencil.
I got to take some videos back to Blockbuster. Hold on. I'll be right back.
I hear you can mail those videos now.
I heard about it, but I don't trust it.
You're right. That's too dangerous.
Wait, I'm going to put my credit card on the internet. Let me mail you a check.
Love it.
Once we figure that out, say like, okay, we should probably think about adding video because it'll be more interesting.
Mm-hmm. Got to get those pretty faces up there.
I know. We'll have them on the title. On the title.
We'll give people an option to mute us and just have our faces.
That's the only option. That's a default.
Does Pornhub take podcasts? Maybe that would be the way to go.
Did you hear about that mathematician who put all his stuff on Pornhub? It's a true story. Yeah, he wasn't getting hits on YouTube, so he put his stuff up on Pornhub, and he makes like 200-something thousand a year.
Okay, I think I just figured out.
I think that's the answer.
Business model.
Right?
It's our business model right there.
Just skip YouTube altogether.
Yeah,
we'll just
absolutely.
throw everything up.
We'll just call it. We'll just title the podcast like "Heavy Guy on Guy Action," and then we'll make $200,000 a year.
Yeah, you might want to delete this off your Zoom server. Leave meeting.
I think that's how the audience feels right now.
Wait a minute, we've been recording all these?
Sadly,
I don't authorize the podcast to use my voice.
Damn it. Welcome to Don't Encourage Us, the podcast where we talk about the big ideas behind fiction projects of all different kinds. Books, movies, TV shows, video games. Nothing's off limits. That was like the worst one I've ever done. Yeah, the worst one was the last one where I like fumbled in the middle and forgot what I was doing. But I say we keep it. Where's the responsibility of the audience? Where's the responsibility of the show?
All good questions. I mean, on Alone, I believe they record themselves, right? They carry all the camera equipment.
But they don't edit themselves.
Was the next part I was gonna.
Yeah.
I was gonna.
You should have thought of that, Steve.
Don't really know. Like, are they made aware on these reality shows of, the long-term effects of being on the reality show by the producers? I would assume they're not really told. So
does anyone know what they are? Does anyone really understand what it's like to be presented in a way that makes you socially undesirable or an outcast?
Yeah, even at a baseline level, that this is a possibility because you're going to be on this show. There's going to be a ton of footage that we're going to record. Obviously, we're going to use only a part of this footage, and we have the right to edit this footage however we want to. But what that means for you is that you may be presented in a really positive light, or you may be presented in a very negative light. Are you ready to accept those consequences, or is it just in the fine print of these contracts and they're just signing everything?
Right. Yeah.
Signing
it just
away
says your life away, and you just sign in front of that.
Blank's life away. How about a reality show? I just thought of this.
All right.
I can throw this out there. How about one just 100% constructed by AI? The challenges, the characters that are
20
chosen.
deaths.
Right. I think it would be an interesting concept because AI is such a huge thing right now, and it would be pretty timely.
That's interesting. Yeah,
or at least a part of it, right? Where all the challenges are constructed by AI, or the winner is chosen based on a set of parameters.
Yeah, you could have some fun moments where the participants or the contestants get to choose their own challenge or what they have to do in order to win this contest by entering prompts into the AI like Chat GPT, and whatever it spits out is what you have to do.
That would be really funny. That would be
so they'd be like, come up with an easy challenge that doesn't make me tired. And it'll be like, eat 1,000 hot dogs.
And they're like, well, yeah, I guess I got to do that now.
Oh, man.
But the challenges would be hilarious, what it would come up with. It would be so great just to see it just on the screen. Like, AI came up with this list of challenges. You have to pick out of the 5, eat 1,000 hot dogs, stand on one leg for 72 hours.
Juggle seashells in your car. Well, I wanted a beach challenge, so I guess that's fair.
That would be great.
That's a good one. I got another one. You ready?
Yep. What do you got?
Mine are all terrible, by the way, so don't put too much.
The AI one is all that great, so continue.
Okay, this is a reality show. It's a challenge for animation teams. Okay, so these are teams of animators, people who create animated TV shows. Okay, so they compete to create a pilot episode for an animated family sitcom incorporating characters and jokes about race, sexuality, gender, abortion, and guns. Then the pilots they create are shown to an audience comprised entirely of students from small liberal arts colleges in the Northeast. And the winner is the animating team that offends the fewest students.
That's so funny.
And I have an additional piece here. It's hosted by Michael Bublé and Seth MacFarlane. And contestants can score bonus points if they can keep Seth MacFarlane from singing. No, nothing there.
I mean, it could work. Maybe even the making of this show would be a show.
All right, I got another one. I got one more. This one's really, really muddled. Okay, so this is a reality show where the contestants score points by completing secret tasks to fool the director and film crew. So the setup is just normal, it's like The Bachelor or whatever. It's just regular reality TV show. But the production crew doesn't know that the contestants are given secret little you've got to trick this person to do this or get the director to say that or whatever. Little secret tasks. And that's actually how the contestants are going to score points and win. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, but there's a twist.
Always.
Okay. Yep. So the crew, in this case, think that they're the contestants and they're also getting secret tasks and trying to score points by fooling the contestants into doing things that the tasks require. So they're getting secret little, like, you need to get this contestant to do this thing or say this thing challenges. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I like that idea.
And there's another twist. The hosts, there are multiple hosts, right? The hosts also think that they're the actual contestants, and they're competing to complete secret tasks to get the production crew and the contestants to do things and score points.
Oh, wow. I like it.
So I call it, they're not in on it.
It's good. It's really good.
It's got 3 groups that all, if this is done right, they all will be arrogantly thinking they're manipulating everyone else.
When in fact,
they're not in on it.
That's really funny.
So, for example, like a secret task for like one of the contestants would be to get a cameraman to say, "I'm just doing my job, man." Okay, and then you would eliminate people who don't score points, right? So some of the production crew would be vanishing or replaced.
Yeah.
And there'd be 3 hosts in the beginning, but then at some point there'd just be 2. And like we, as an audience, we would see like the regular, the contestants, the like single people or whatever. We'd see them like, find out who scored points and like get eliminated. We'd see the camera crew, the makeup people, all them, get together, the director, and see who scored points and get eliminated. And we'd see the same like conversation with the 3 hosts. Like none of them know that this is happening, but we would see that, right? And then phase 2 brings all the remaining contestants from all 3 groups together. It explains to them what's actually happening, and then they have to compete individually to trick new contestants who arrive on a boat and think that they're like the sexy spoilers. So now you have, 3 or 4 people who think they're showing up on like, I don't know, like a dating show, and they're like the new hot people or whatever, right? And not only are the other contestants trying to trick them into doing insane things, but the camera crew, the makeup people, the director, and the hosts are also trying to trick them into doing precise things to score points.
It's a great concept. I
think it's pretty
twist.
It's pretty good.
Yeah. No, I think that one would work really well. I think just this idea where no one's in on it.
Mm-hmm. But they all think they are, and no one else knows. So I think there's a lot of fun that can be had at people's expense, and I don't think you need to like over edit this one too much. There's a lot of just natural hilariousness that could occur,
Oh, for sure. What about a concept where the reality show is completely controlled by the audience? So there's like a huge interactivity component.
Isn't that Running Man? Isn't that the Running?
It's the Running Man.
I feel like this ends with contestants being executed. What did you have in mind?
This is the PG version of that.
All right. Well, as always, thank you, listeners. And thank you to the amazing and talented people who make actual content that we tear apart and disrespect constantly. So thank you. Stay away from that like and subscribe. Stay away from the like and the subscribe button, right? Stay away from that. I don't know what that does.
Definitely stay away from that.
Don't push it. Like and subscribe. Don't do that, right?
Not at all.
And we'll see you next week.
All right. Take care, everybody.
No, honestly, I would never do that.